There must have been some difficult moments in that process.
Yeah, in the scene, my big scene in the movie where I get emotional thinking about it when I had to say to him, "I want to be your friend." That was very hard. It was very, very hard. And I just feel so lucky that I had that experience.
She has more mojo than any.
I get more sleep than anybody.
Friends and not getting overextended is so, in a way, what Jane said, just to know where your limits are.
And if I start losing my mojo, even if I've had enough sleep, girlfriends always put it back in me.
Since when do you eat ice cream?
God, I got a brain freeze. Here, give that to a professional.
Oh my God. It was a wonderful movie. I produced it. I bought the play and produced it for him because he was dying and I wanted to be able to work with him before he died. It was an extremely emotional experience doing that movie with him, and it had a big effect on me in terms of my relationship with him. I don't know whether it changed him or not because he never spoke very much. You know, there's a certain generation of men, you're all too young, but and he came from Nebraska, so Midwestern men of that generation didn't talk a lot, and they didn't say, "I love you," or things like that. So I never kind of knew what was going on with him. But I remember towards the end of the shoot, Katharine Hepburn was quite something to work with. She taught me a lot. I sort of said to myself, if I had a choice, would I prefer to have her genes than my dad's? And I could answer it wholeheartedly to myself. I want my father's genes. I loved him so much, watching him work. And he wasn't interested. Hepburn was all about, if you're a movie star, you have to fascinate. My dad would just do his work. You know, he would just be there. He was always ready. He didn't bother to fascinate people. He just did his work, and I loved him more than I ever had. So it was a powerful experience for me.
Had you worked on any other movies with him?
No, I had done a few summer stock plays with him,
Right.
but never a movie. I mean, how blessed to be able to do a movie like that, to produce
Incredible.
it for
It's
him.
such an incredible movie.
And be kind of hypnotized to remember what happened after the point at which I had blacked out. But I also, when I was older, I got fired as a secretary because I wouldn't sleep with my boss.
Wow. What do you think? I guess I just want to know what you do. You feel sorry for these young actresses who've had that? All these people who are saying what happened to them. You know, what does it do to them? You managed to get therapy. I mean, you're a survivor. Some people may not be able to get through this.
Well, I know the women, and they're survivors too. Talking is the most important thing. As Alice Miller wrote in the great psychologist, Breaking the Wall of Silence, talking is the first step to healing. It's what Eve Ensler does, my dear friend, why she's so important, standing up and speaking. I have an adopted child who was very badly abused as a child, and this is triggering. The Harvey Weinstein stuff and the recording of his voice is triggering the deep terror in her. So, it is hard to get over it. But if this happens to you when you're a very young person, you need therapy. And there is a relational therapy that does work if it's properly done. It's not lying on your back looking at the ceiling while some guy's behind you. It's not Freudian. And the kind of therapy that can be helpful began in the beginning of the 60s with the women's movement. It's feminism at work. It's someone sitting opposite you, looking into your eyes and reflecting empathy. And so you realize what I'm feeling is okay because this person is sharing my pain and my sadness and sorrow and my terror. And that's where the trust begins to come back, because the cord of trust